last week, Advent is described as a season observed in Christian churches as a time of expectant waiting and preparation for the celebration of the Nativity of Jesus at Christmas. Again, Advent is traditionally celebrated the 4 Sundays before Christmas Day. This year, it would have been last Sunday, this Sunday, obviously next, and then December 21st. This year, the theme that we have for Advent is Stories of Old. Catherine and I are going through, we're taking texts from Isaiah and looking at some stuff that Isaiah from the Old Testament talked about as far as the coming of the Messiah, and then how we see it being fulfilled in the New Testament. And today we're going to be talking about Jesus coming from David's bloodline. So if we could just open with prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you as we're in this time of anticipation, of preparation for Christmas, for the coming Messiah. We thank you for your word. We thank you for the time of being able to just reflect on what happened thousands of years ago, but then how that still applies to our lives every day. Just pray that you just be with us as we hear your word. Just let your word settle on us and on our hearts in ways that we can take this and move forward through this time of preparation. And take this and help us to be able to just spread this holiday cheer with other people, starting with the people at Fountainview today. Lord, I just pray that the words that come out of my mouth are your words and not mine. And that those words can just rest on each of our hearts as you see fit. In your name we pray. Amen.
Is your mic on?
Yeah? Is it on there? 3? We got it? I can kind of hear myself, but then again, my mouth is closer to my ears than... Still? Hello? Check. Test. Hello? 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 No? Hello? I'll just try to hold still. How about this one? Is this one right here? We start off today with Isaiah 9, 1-7, like Kelly read. Nevertheless, there will be no more gloom for those who were in distress. In the past, he humbled the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali. Okay, we'll go with that one. I'm terrible with some of those old names. But in the future, he will honor Galilee of the nations by way of the sea beyond the Jordan. The people walking in the darkness have seen great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. You have enlarged the nation and increased their joy. They rejoice before you as people rejoice at the harvest, as warriors rejoice when dividing the plunder. For as in the day of Midian's defeat, you have shattered the yoke that burdens them, the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor. Every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be the fuel for the fire. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. For the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this. Last week, Catherine discussed how Isaiah was written, the book of Isaiah was written in a time of exile, when the Israelites turned their backs on God and were not only captured by the Babylonians, but they were actually removed from their land. They were looking for hope. They needed someone to deliver them. The Israelites were familiar with the promise of the Messiah. It goes all the way back to the first book of the Torah for them, which we know as Genesis. We find in Genesis 3 the first mention of a Messiah as God curses the serpent. And in verse 3, Genesis 3:15, I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. And there's many other verses in the Old Testament concerning the coming Messiah. However, Isaiah mentions that the Messiah will be coming from the line of David. And God makes that promise to David in 1 Chronicles 7:11 through 14. And this is in with the story of Samuel and stuff, but 1 Chronicles 7:11 through 14, we find an angel saying, when your days are over and you will be with your ancestors, I will raise you up, your offspring, to succeed you, one of your own sons, and I will establish his kingdom. He is the one who will build a house for me, and I will establish his throne forever. I will be his father, and he will be my son. I will never take my love away from him. As I look away from your predecessor, I will set him over my house and my kingdom forever. His throne will be established forever. Again, this is God's promise to David that this Messiah is going to come from his line. And then, like Kelly read, in Luke, we find this prophecy of the Messiah coming true. Or the promise of the Messiah coming from the line of David coming true. And it was fulfilled when an angel of the Lord told this young girl named Mary that she will be having a child. And so Luke 1:32 through 33, like Kelly read, he will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him the throne of his father David. And he will reign over Jacob's descendants forever. His kingdom will never end. So again, this is what Mary was told, that this Messiah is going to be coming, and he's from the line of David. We find that Jesus was referred to as the Son of David 14 times throughout the New Testament. We even find in the book of Micah the writer mentioning that the Messiah was to be born in Bethlehem, which is known as the city of David. When Jesus was born, he was born in Bethlehem. Joseph and Mary happened to be there at that time because there was a time or they're having a census, and they needed to go back to their basically the town from which their lineage was from. Now the interesting thing is I go through all of this and I'm thinking, okay, Jesus coming from the line of David. Okay, I'm sure there's a little bit of stuff here and there. But as I get studying it, I find out that there's an awful lot. There's an awful lot of information out there. So a couple of things that I wanted to go through. Okay, Jesus coming through the line of David. Well, let's look at the line of David. So, or let's look at the line that Jesus came from. There's 2 places that talks about this. This is something that I know every good Bible reader, the first thing you want to do is sit down and, okay, where can I read about all of this? And so-and-so is the son of so-and-so is the son of so-and-so. Because, I mean, that is just so much fun. Well, guess what I got to do this week? I went through that. Both in Matthew and in Luke. Both Matthew and Luke have the genealogies of Jesus. And as I'm going through this, we find that, okay, for the most part, they line up. However, there seems to be a little bit of a break-off. One of them, Matthew, it is believed that Matthew's genealogy brings the line to Joseph, which would be the legal Hebrew way of doing that. If they're going to sit down and do a legal Hebrew genealogy, it would have to be through the fathers, through the males. So Joseph was mentioned through Matthew. Now, as we will hear, I believe next week, Jesus was born of a virgin. So Joseph wasn't really technically his dad. However, Joseph was Mary's husband, and adoption, the whole 9 yards, he could be considered his dad. But we won't get into that. I mean, I had a whole sermon ready for that as well, but God kind of led me in a different direction. So in going through all that, then going through Luke, and that genealogy, Luke's genealogy is believed to actually go through Mary. Now, Luke is a doctor, and he would be more apt to go the actual family bloodline. However, Mary's name is not mentioned, but according to theologian R.A. Torrey, the reason Mary is not mentioned by name is because the ancient Hebrews never permitted the name of the woman to enter the genealogical tables, but inserted her husband as the son of him who was, in reality, but is his father-in-law. And if you look at, depending on which translation you use, just the way that Luke words it, it's thought to be of, was the translation that I had. But basically, what they're saying is that they use Joseph there, but yet it's actually Mary's line. So in the long run, the genealogy goes, and then it kind of splits off, and then comes back together. And okay, yes, they were like cousins, like 16 or so away. But anyway, that was just a little bit of fun I had in studying that. But in going through and studying that, I finding that, okay, as I'm reading through and trying to find out, okay, who some of these people are and some of the stuff about these people, we find that in the books of Chronicles actually talks about these people, because Chronicles gives the list of the different kings that followed in the line of Jesus. And as going through and looking at some of these, we find out that some of these kings are extremely wicked people, very wicked, to the point of an exile of a whole nation because they are following what these kings were doing. It mentions more than once how God was not very happy with the way Israel would follow some of these. He was very happy with the kings, but then Israel was following these kings and doing what they said. We find that, okay, the line of David can be followed in the books of Chronicles, and though you will find some of the line of David followed hard after God and what God desired out of a leader, we also find that some of them were so wicked they caused an entire nation to go astray and not follow God's wishes, even to the point of total exile of a nation. So as I'm reading through this and thinking about this, I'm thinking, wow, if they're that bad, I mean, there's 150 million reasons why it's a good thing I'm not God, but one of them would be, I'm thinking, okay, that's it. You guys have just messed up. Forget it. That whole thing, as far as sending the Messiah through this line, we can't do that. These are some messed up people. We've got to put an end to this now. But that's not the way God operates. God didn't choose to go another route. But wouldn't it look better if the Messiah came from a line of people that did follow God the way He intended all the way through? But obviously He didn't. So what does that, I'm throwing this question out there, what does that tell us about God? What does it tell us about God that He, even though this line that He promised the Messiah was going to go through, messed up really bad on many occasions, He still stayed with that? What does that tell you about God?
God, He cannot lie. He is always faithful to His promises. Was not conditional upon their behavior.
Very good. He has a plan. A very good point. Yeah, He doesn't lie. There wasn't condition. This was the promise made. He follows that promise. What else? What else would that tell you about God?
He can use broken people.
He can use broken people. Imagine that. Yes. What else?
The God of grace and second chances.
And third and fifth
And eighth.
and eighth. Yep. Yes.
God holds up both ends of the bargain. When He makes promises to us, He holds up both ends.
Yes. We found that with the covenant He made with Abraham. So no matter how much we mess up, God holds true to His promise. So,
You know what else is that He's not reliant upon us. He has a plan. We don't have to do what needs to be done, even though we should. He's not relying on us. He's relying on Him.
right.
Sometimes we start thinking as humans that we can do it. We can, our plan is better. But He doesn't need us. He doesn't need our plan. He wants to include us in it, but He doesn't need us.
You're right. You're right. And that's, in reading about some of those kings back then and how much they messed up, and there's some of this stuff just due to the event we've got going on afterwards. I cut a bunch of this out as far as talking about how evil some of these people were. Believe me, there's a lot in the Bible. If you guys want to get with me afterwards, we can go through it. I can show you, and we can share that. But I also didn't want this to really be about how evil people can be. This is more of how loving and graceful God is, and that He is a God that when He makes a promise, He's going to follow through on it. As we continue in this time of anticipation, we're in Advent, we're in a time of anticipation and time of preparation. What I basically got out of this whole thing is that let's anticipate with the comfort of knowing that God is faithful, that God is forgiving, and that God will hold true to His promises. As we're anticipating, as we're preparing for Christmas, for the coming Messiah, let us know that just in telling one person that I'm going to send my Messiah through your bloodline and holding true to that, no matter how bad that got messed up. I guess that's one of the another thing just kind of hit me, that, and I guess you guys did kind of bring that up. No matter how bad we mess things up, you're kind of, I think, hinting to that, Dave, that no matter how bad we've messed things up, God can make something good out of it. God will make something good out of it. Unfortunately, a few of them, they didn't care, and they didn't care to make things right with God, but He still made things right, and He made things right for us. So that, in a nutshell, is the short, sweet version of the line of David. At this point in time,